Welcome back to Voices for Justice, the Georgia NAACP podcast, and we are back for another exciting edition of Voices of Justice. I'm Attorney Gerald Griggs, the 13th president of the Georgia State Conference. The honor and privilege of being joined by one of the unit presidents in one of the most productive units of the NAACP here in the state of Georgia. I'm joined by Reverend Threets from Newton County NAACP. Let's give him a rousing, warm round of applause. Mr. President, how you doing this afternoon?
Doing well, President Griggs. Good to speak with you, and glad to catch up with you again here since the last time we spoke a couple months ago.
Well, it's always good to be with you, and I wanted to bring you on to talk about the phenomenal work that the Newton County NAACP has been doing, and to see and hear your vision for 2024 moving forward. So please introduce yourself to everyone on the podcast and just give us some background on the Newton County NAACP.
First, I want to thank you for inviting me on the podcast and allowing Newton County NAACP branch to have an opportunity to speak with the public and to share the vision of our organization here. My name is Reverend Eric Threets. I'm the president of the Newton County NAACP here in Newton County, Georgia, which resides primarily in Covington, Georgia. I've been here and been the president for this particular administration, my first administration here. Previously, second vice president with the Newton County NAACP, and looking forward to moving forward and continuing to build on the past presidents and past administrations here in this community.
Yes, and so the Newton County NAACP has always been one of the most progressive units in the state conference, and it continues to be under your leadership. Kind of talk about some of the programs that you guys have going on in Newton County and what you see on the horizon as we move forward.
Thank you for that question. We basically have been partnering with our community in various areas, one of which is continuing to build on our voter registration drives here in the community. We know that our community here is more than 50% Black in our voter base. We know that our voters here have been very strong, particularly when it comes to the areas or time frames of the election coming up next year or later this year towards the presidential and state, as well as our county and local elections. We have continued to build on our health programs here in this area. We're working with not only the state, but we also have regional and local healthcare branches that are working with us to build and continue to educate our community in various areas of chronic health as well as acute health, and also doing screenings in various churches as well as with other community organizations here. We've also been working with on a nonpartisan basis, working with various organizations to build and put together a political forum coming up this year towards the elections this year. Again, giving everyone a chance to speak specifically to the tasks and to the points and the concerns of the community, rather than allowing them to be in a position where they can speak against one another, but more speaking towards the topics that deal with our community.
I love that. It's kind of controlling the narrative about what is concerning to the community. We don't want to see the politics of division. We want to see answering the call and the questions and the concerns of the community. So I love that. One of the things that I've been so proud of the work of the Newton County NAACP is, I went to undergrad in Covington at Oxford College, and I've seen the change in Newton County since 1998 till now. The growth of diversity, the growth of inclusion, the election of a black Superior Court judge, my good friend. Unfortunately, he's passed on, but Horace Johnson, and so many things that have changed, a black sheriff. And so talk about what it's been like to see the changes that have occurred in Newton County. It was once considered an outlying rural county. It's now very much so a part of the metro Atlanta area. But tell us, what do you think was the impetus to the change and the growth that's happened in Newton County?
And again, a great question and a great lead-in. We have a growing diversity in this community. We've had my family and I have moved down here back in 2008 when my dad passed. There's a promise to take care of my mom here in this community. And when we moved here, one of my children's first and longest memories is when we drove down the streets right after the hurricane in August of 2008. They were greeted by a gentleman that was passing by us in a historic truck, and he told us he saw the New Jersey plates on our car, and he told us to take our black so-and-sos back to New Jersey. They didn't need us down here. Well, the kids kind of looked at me and said, "Dad, what are you going to do about that?" And I said, "Change the narrative here in this community." And with that, we've been doing specifically that. I have been extremely busy in this community, not only with the NAACP, but with churches, with other organizations here. And it has sparked not just my being here, but others coming into this area from across the country with the growing diversity, with the growing culture, with industry exploding here, not only in the movie sense, but also with other industry as well. We've had a tremendous growth in housing. We've had a tremendous growth in the movie industry. I know they talk about Georgia being the Hollywood of the South, but we have a tremendous amount of shows that have been done here in this community alone, as well as having 3 Ring Studios right here in our backyard. So with that, I've been able to allow and been blessed enough to allow myself, my family, and my organization to tap into many of the committees that are within the community. The Industrial Development Committee, which is on the county front. We have the Covington Development Committee, the Historic Preservation Committee, as well as other organizations here within the Newton County school system. We've all dug in, and with each person that's come into this community, we've made ourselves visible in every realm, every opportunity that's presented itself, whether it's a city event, a county event, a city council meeting, a county commission meeting. We've made sure that we've had our representation there so that the folks that are moving into this area, they not only get a great warm welcome from us, but they have a warm welcome, and they also have an idea of what we're doing while we're here. And they see the visibility, they see the activity, but most of all, they see that we are faith-based in the sense that we open and welcome everyone of all faiths, but most of all, we welcome everybody who's coming in. And it doesn't matter their background, it doesn't matter where they're coming, it doesn't matter their religious affiliation or their ethnic. We've had members in our organization that are white. We've had members that have been Asian. And of course we have our own brothers and sisters here in this community. So we are a welcoming organization, and we've also made sure that we have been very visible, very active, and very welcoming and loving to everyone who's come in here. Again, showing the example of Christ's love as they come in.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've noticed about this particular unit is the outreach into our younger community, working with the high schools and making sure that we have a quality education for our young people. So can you talk about that? You go to the school board meetings, you're involved at the local schools, to kind of talk about the unit's work there through the education committee.
Yes, we have one of our sisters, Sister Felicia Tuggle Harris, is the chair for the youth portion of our organization, and she, as well as her team, have done a phenomenal job, not only partnering with the schools, and some of which being educators, former educators within the system, but we've also been able to have the former school, the head of the school
superintendent
schools here in the area. The school superintendent was actually an active member of the NAACP. The current and new superintendent is also becoming more involved with our organization as well, and welcomes us. We've every year thus far have been offering scholarships to students. We've also partnered with the city of Covington with various art projects and various other projects within the community to highlight our students' talents as well as their academic achievements by displaying their work, displaying their talents, and displaying their artistic abilities as well at the Eastside High School as well as Newton High School. We also support them in their athletic endeavors, but most of all, we've tried to make sure that we've also given them an opportunity to have face-to-face contact with upper education, with colleges and trade schools coming in. We've also partnered with our other schools here in the area, like Georgia Piedmont, as well as the Career Academy here in school as well, and continuing to foster a strong program for them to not only grow in academics, not only grow in athletics, but also to develop them through leadership in their extracurricular activities at work and also particularly within this organization.
Absolutely. And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the civic engagement and the voter mobilization. This particular unit has some warriors that have been on the front lines for voting rights for a long time, have been so instrumental in changing the culture politically in Newton County and, of course, in Georgia. Can you talk about how you guys have become so politically involved, and then what the plan is moving forward for mobilization of the voters in Newton County?
Yes, our political chair right now is Sister Debbie Hillman, who has done a phenomenal job with her team in making sure that they, again, attend every function, every opportunity that they have here to highlight and show that the NAACP is present, that we are active, that we're engaged. They have been out with voter registrations at every event. As a matter of fact, Sister Felicia Douglas Harris was out with the Ministers Union on this day doing our voter registration with an event that the Ministers Union was putting on today. But we have continued to make sure that we're not only present, but we continue to be active, that we continue to speak about issues within the community and make sure that folks understand that not only do we have a right, a legal right, but we also have lost, many of our people in the past have lost their lives for the opportunity to be able to not only exercise their vote, but also to provide and to do their civic duty in making sure that we find a way to vote for those who represent our community, who represent our issues, and also continue to be active in our community.
Absolutely. And, I want to take this time to publicly thank Sister Debbie Hillman, who I've had the pleasure of working with for years in voter education and voter mobilization. When I say she is one of the best in the state, you guys are so lucky to have Sister Hillman manning the wall and making sure people are registered, are educated, and most importantly, are mobilized. She was on one of our statewide calls as we are about to roll out our voter mobilization plan. And it's just a pleasure to be with her and be around her. So I want to make sure I publicly say that. But let's talk about what the plan is in Newton County moving forward to make sure that we mobilize the vote. What are the plans that you have for the unit to make sure that you get the vote, get voters registered, but more importantly, get voters educated and prepared for the presidential primary, which is in March, the May primary, which is the general primary, and then, of course, the general election in November? What's the plan?
Well, one of the things that I just mentioned is that the voter registration continues. Every opportunity that we're in the public, we have voter registration cards. We continue to make sure that anyone and everyone not only is able to look up their status, their voter status, because we know that there have been people who have been dropped from rolls that have been here who hadn't voted in the past. We have either phones or tablets or laptops available at events to make sure that people who are questioning whether or not they were able to vote are able to look at their status. And if for some reason we find that they're not registered, we make sure they have an opportunity to register on the spot. Secondly, we have in the event that we're partnering with Newton County Ministers Unit in developing a forum for candidates that would come, and we will be inviting all candidates through different forums based upon the political offices to which they aspire to come forward and to be able to discuss the issues, strictly the issues, and not chastise or not attack one another, but to specifically talk about issues that are related to the community that they aspire to serve. With that, we're also going to be getting folks together to get out to make sure that we also continue to voice the urgency to get out and vote. It doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or other. The whole premise is to make sure that we're exercising our right and exercising our voices to make sure that we get out and exercise our civic duty in voting. And then finally, we want to make sure that we continue to make sure that our public, because we have some folks that believe that the NAACP stands just for Democrats, some believe it's just Republican, but we need to make sure that we continue to get the word out that we are a non-partisan organization. We do not associate ourselves with any one particular party or any one particular person, but we want to make sure that we are making ourselves available and making sure that those messages that need to get out are going out such that people are informed, that they're making an educated vote for themselves, for their household, and for their community.
Absolutely. And we want to underscore just what the president just said. The NAACP is a nonpartisan organization. We are here simply to protect the right to vote and to make sure people exercise it. So thank you for lifting that up. Local issues, and I think that's what gets lost in this political conversation about voting. What do you see as the top local issues that are driving people to have this conversation about voting, making a voting plan, and then ultimately going to the polls? What do you think the big local issues are in Newton County?
Well, one of the issues that we have that's been going on here recently is the voting districts. The redrawing of voting districts and who's going to be where and who's going to represent our community. That's huge, and that right now I believe is in the court system and being attacked by a judge or being tackled by a judge sitting on the bench. Beyond that, we also have issues that are also being held on the bench, but also being raised within the community. Again, about statues on the square here in Covington. Again, holding on to old artifacts for what they call history, which isn't representative of everyone's history. One of the things that I tried to impart when I was running for mayor for the city of Covington was to let them know, as they asked me what my choice was about those statues. And it's not about my choice. It's about what's best representative of our community for everyone in our community. And we need to make sure that we continue to stress that. I know that as we make choices in our votes, we make choices in our daily lives and in our activities, we have to make sure that not only are we voting and doing things based upon ourselves, but it's for the overall good of our community and our household.
Absolutely. And what is the status, and for the listeners that don't understand or maybe not be as well versed as what's happening in Newton County, what is the status of the Confederate monument that is, I guess it still sits in the square? What's the status?
Well, the status is it's still sitting on the Superior Court Justice's desk in Newton County. There has been no judgment, no decision made or placed as far as that's concerned. It's in limbo at this point. I believe he said he took it under advisement, and we've not heard a rendering of a decision from his office at all at this point.
Well, we will continue to advocate on behalf of the unit. Of course, the position of the Georgia State Conference is all of the monuments need to come down and be placed in a museum, which gives its historical context. And so I thank you guys for continuing that fight and continuing to push on a local level to remove these Confederate monuments. So as we start to wrap up on this episode of Voices of Justice, what do you think are the top three things this year that you want to get accomplished from the Newton County NAACP? Of course, I know number one is mobilizing for the 2024 election, but what do you also see as the other two things that you want to make sure you do for the unit?
Number two is going to be educating our community. Because we continue to have issues with chronic health issues within our community. We have older folks and now even younger folks that are suffering from excuse me, you can probably hear it in my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Suffering from chronic as well as acute illnesses that don't know how to first of all, don't have a strong confidence in the medical system or their health care and continuing to make sure that they get out and have regular visits with their physicians. So we continue to do screenings in our communities and continue to encourage folks to get out to go see a physician, to go see a healthcare professional. If they don't choose to go see a physician, they want to do it holistically, but to continue to educate as we go through. And that's educating on issues that surround our community, particularly around hypertension, diabetes, and cancer that's been prevalent in our communities. And beyond that, we also want to make sure that we continue to encourage our youth, because our youth, now we have an epidemic going on of children that are running away from home and dropping